The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Well, we got the head of the cold case posse. Went out there in 2005 to help, investigate for Sheriff Arpaio all these stacks of murders. And I'd love to get you on sometime for like 2 hours on the nightly news just to talk about all the other cases you've been on, because it's so interesting about digging through cold cases and going after, stuff that other people have given up on. But you look at this. We were talking during the break about the fact of, hey, you better get life insurance, vice versa, and the type of stuff that goes on. Because people don't know how real this is until you get the harassment. But I was saying during the break, I think we see the takeover happening. You were like, yeah, no, it's happening right now with the persecution of the press and the not caring. I mean, where do you think this country's going?
I'm afraid to think about that. I think we are at a critical point, and I think you are seeing, and I think you've said it before, people are starting to wake up, but they got to pick up the pace. I mean, we have some really bad problems. I mean, you have situations here where you could almost look at it as the police are becoming an extension of this. There are rights being violated all over the place. Constitution is meaning nothing. The whole incident down in Florida right now, man is demonized for carrying around in the chamber of a 9mm. That's no different than a guy having a 5-shot revolver. There's rounds in the chamber. It's
exactly.
Different. But this is what they do. They take it and they start with these themes and they keep perpetuating these as if they're truths. And they're not. They're fables. So we're in a really difficult place. And I think the battle is really for the mind. Because if they can convince you of things, they could give you scenarios where you have to give up your rights and slowly give up your rights. We all know what the Founding Fathers said about that.
And they just announced now the CIA is going to domestically engage in propaganda covertly.
That's what I heard.
I mean, they're just putting it all out now. It's like, yeah, we'll arrest you and disappear you. Yeah, we'll kill you. What do you think about Michael Hastings' car blowing up? He says, I'm going on the run. I've got something that's going to bring them down. The FBI's visiting. And it turned out I've talked to the family off record, so they all got visited. And the FBI's like, we didn't visit anybody. And then the car blows up. The engine goes the opposite direction.
Well, I haven't had any information on that except what I've been told. And what I'm told is it looks like the automobile came and rested upon that tree.
Yes.
That there was no real front-end damage. So that makes it very difficult for me to think how a complete engine goes 350 feet the other way. I mean, something happened there, especially that he was making those kinds of telephone calls. My bigger concern is, like Breitbart. Breitbart, he had something other than what we've been shown.
Oh, he said it's going to bring him down.
And
it's the biggest thing ever.
And that's never surfaced. So,
well, isn't it a telltale when he's been dead 45 minutes and somebody in the hospital says no foul play, and then the coroner dies of arsenic poisoning? The guy that did his body.
I know. They're things that it's very difficult. From our business, we work in facts and evidence and proof. So for us to speculate is dangerous, but I will tell you that's strange.
Well, when it starts piling up.
It does. It does. And when it starts piling up like that, all of a sudden, when something's a coincidence, you get a onesie or a twosie, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those aren't coincidences anymore. Somebody is doing something on purpose. Something is happening here. Something's been orchestrated.
Exactly. If you had one hit and run out in the country of, say, an old lady, okay, hit and run. But if you had 5, well, we got a serial killer.
Exactly.
I mean, it's obvious.
It's obvious. It becomes obvious. And there are things that happen in these situations where you could almost mirror them in other ones. There's always the precursors. Who says what? Who says he's going to do this? And all of a sudden he disappears. So you have to be mindful of that. But, this is real. This is not a fake game that's being played here. And that birth certificate, that is nothing more than an error. They released that in error. And I think the American people have the right to know who their president is and where he was born.
One of our reporters, Gigi Arnett, went out to L.A. and actually went to the tree. It's barely damaged. We just showed some footage of it. And then Nomi Prinz, who lives out there, also a journalist, she said she went and looked at it the day after, and it was barely even scratched. And that's what the photo showed as it came to rest. The witnesses all said it blew up in the middle of the road. So if my car blows up like that, I want an investigation.
No, I would think so. And what's great about that, eyewitness testimony, you could have 5 people witness the same accident, and they always see something different. They're never 100% in sync with each other. But the main event usually is. And when you've got witnesses, more than one, telling you this thing blew up before it hit the tree, you could take it to the bank. It blew up before it hit the tree.
I mean, described it as a jackknife with an 18-wheeler. That's different, but basically it went up in the air and then flew over up against the tree, and the engine shot the other direction. I'd have to have a demolitions expert on, but it almost sounds like a bomb on top of the engine because it would blow down, blowing the engine out towards the back, and then the car, I mean, that's all kinetic. I guess you'd have to talk to a physicist.
Yeah, I'm not the guy that does that. You know, our explosive experts may have a different opinion, but
sure, but if you hit a tree, the engine doesn't blow out the back.
It doesn't blow out the back. No, and you have to hit it with some force to move it that far too, and you would have such front end damage on that vehicle, such damage to that tree. I mean, the tree is a tree, but it's wood. It's gonna be damaged, especially with that kind of impact. And if there is, like they say, nothing there, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Unbelievable. Let's come back and get more into this fraudulent birth certificate that you get out of a Cracker Jack box and how we turn this country around with Mike. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll also give you the Cold Case Posse website on the other side.
We're on the march.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.